Oh, sorry. I thought some of you haters might have been watching this video. Good old Dungey. Is he going to retire in 2017 or 2018? I don't know. I kind of have the opinion that I think that if Dungey wins the Supercross championship, he will go ahead and retire. He won't race after 2017, and if he doesn't win it, I think he'll come back for one more year, and then he'll be done after that. So that's kind of what I predicted. I'm pretty sure his KTM contract is up, if I'm not mistaken. It may not be, but I think it is. But it really doesn't matter with Ryan Dungey because he could just say, hey, you guys want to let me come back for a year or a couple races? You think they're going to say no to that? Hell no. So that's kind of where he's at, you know. But Dungey will go down in history as the most consistent rider of all time. And I got to thinking about something the other day, and I was talking to my dad about this. I was thinking, you know, just picture like if Villopoto was never there. All of those years that Villopoto won those championships, Ryan Dungey was second place. Second place, second place, second place. So if you just completely took Villopoto out of the equation, Dungey would have had like 7 or 8 Supercross championships by now. Think about that. Like, seriously, think about that. Is that not crazy? He would have been the greatest of all time when it comes to Supercross championships. It's just unreal. I mean, all you would have had to have done was taken Villopoto out of there. And Villopoto was one bad motherfucker, but that's a lot of that is how it is. It's really just who's there at what particular time, and it's kind of like that. And that's what you're seeing out of Tomac nowadays. And I'm really surprised that Tomac's riding the way he is. I am pleasantly surprised. I did not expect that at the beginning of the season, and what I kind of thought happened there was, I think they changed the rear end of that Kawasaki back to what it used to be when Villopoto was riding it, because didn't they make some kind of big change with the stock bikes with the 450 Kawasaki rear ends, like in 2000 after Villopoto was done racing or whatever? I think they kind of went back to that. And that's why you're seeing Tomac just tearing them up all of a sudden. I don't know. A lot of times it's stuff like that that changes that, because you remember back when Villopoto was racing, they went to those air forks and Villopoto was riding like shit for you know, half of the season, and then they went back to what they had before, and then Villopoto won like 6 in a row. So it's kind of that same deal going on there, but yeah, it all depends on who's there at what point in time. But I feel like Ryan Dungey, he just doesn't really have anything else to prove at this point. If he wins this year, that'll be a 3-peat, and then he'll have 4 overall, so that'll be just as many as Villopoto total. And so it's like, I mean, what else is there for Dungey to prove? He's got a couple motocross championships. You know, it's like, how much longer does he really want to do that? And it's just going to get harder and harder, because you'll get people in there like Tomac now. I think Dungey caught it at a good time when he won the last 2 championships, because they're just really, I mean, you had Roczen in there, but Jesus Christ, like 3 years in a row, homeboy's been, you know, tearing them up for 2 races, and then he's done for the rest of the season. So, oh my gosh, Roczen needs to chill a little bit. He's too much on that peppy vibe. He needs to tone it down. And with Tomac, seems like Tomac has got it figured out all of a sudden. He's going fast, he's riding consistent, he's getting good starts. Seems like he's doing everything right, you know. And see, I was kind of thinking Tomac was like a Roczen in that motocross season when Tomac was beating him by however many seconds, and then he crashed and tore both of his shoulders out of place or whatever. Maybe he's just learned to tone it down when he needs to. I don't know. But I feel like Roczen hasn't really learned that quite yet. I feel like Roczen lets the race get to his head a little bit. Like, if Roczen's behind, he'll ride way the hell over his head, you know, and then it bites him sometimes. But maybe Roczen will get it figured out, you know, and then it'll be real interesting, like, come around next season. But I think Dungey's to the point where it's like he's really going to have to fight for it next year. So I think that he's kind of thinking, man, why would I put all that pressure on myself, at this point? It's just kind of, I don't know. I don't know why he would, honestly. Man, that pro racing, it's awesome, and I love it to death, but the amount of work that goes into it and the amount of time of your life you spend on it, the average Joe just doesn't get it. We don't understand. I can tell you, just for me, pro racing and MX Simulator, which is like a fraction of what they do, just me pro racing on a video game and getting that good to do that is like so much time out of my life, it's not even funny. So, I mean, what they're doing, anything you do to become the best at it, you have to be 125% in. You can't do anything else. If you want to be the best, you have to dedicate your entire life to it. So that's what happens with that. And it wears on you over time. And that's what you've seen out of Villopoto. He was just worn out after those 4 championships. I mean, it was just done. There was no more left. No more excitement for it. No more nothing. So how do you continue at that point? You really can't. But Dungey, man, he's one solid dude all the way around. He's he never really had that just wicked speed, but he was always, he would beat you if you ever had one little mistake, And I feel like Villopoto was just about the only person that could outdo Dungey in a speed level, but also in a consistency level at times. Whereas other people, it's like they can beat Dungey in the speed category, but when it comes to an overall championship of consistency, they just can't do it. They can't hold up, And Tomac's getting there. I mean, he's no joke. Win like 7 or 8, however many races he's won, but yeah, I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see what Dungey does. It would really surprise me for Dungey to go to like a different team at this point. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't know, man. It's just that's kind of the nature of the motocross and supercross thing. Kind of sucks that you think about, man, Dungey could have had like 8 championships had you just totally cut Villopoto out of the equation. But you can't think like that because there's always eventually going to be somebody in there like a Villopoto. Actually, I don't know. I take that back. I think Villopoto, there will never be somebody as good as Villopoto when he was in his prime. No way. Villopoto, when you watched him ride, it was just unbelievable. He was as smooth as a Dungey, but he was as wicked as a Roczen or a Tomac. It was so elegant, but yet just wicked at the same time. I can't explain Villopoto's style. It was just unreal. But yeah, I don't know. I think the road's getting to an end here with Dungey. And it's sad to see people like that go because then the next year it'll only be Roczen against Tomac, and then maybe Muscan up in there, and then maybe if Webb gets it going, then you'll have him as a contender. But it's just those top dudes are few and far between. Those like top A class dudes out there. So when you take one out, it really changes the racing dynamic. Kind of like how when Stewart got taken out, it totally changed the watching experience of the races. So I don't know. It'll just be different without Dungey for sure, but he's had a good career, man. And what I always admired about Dungey is he was one of those dudes that proved that you didn't have to be this full body cast, beat up, broken, banged up dude to be a motocrosser. Dungey hardly ever had injuries. And, some of these dudes out here, they've got injuries that are lifelong, basically. They'll have to live with it forever. A lot of motocrossers are that way. But Dungey, he never rode above his head to the point where he would risk injuring himself. And you can't, man, I don't care who you are out there, you cannot hate on that. Somebody that's just riding safe and not wanting to injure themselves, he may not be just on that wicked spinning around the corners point, all the time, but I can promise you one thing, he's not going to go out there and just rip his body apart, So you can't blame him for that. And I've always respected Dungey for just having a different style in that sense. Just a very, very safe rider. Yeah, he can get boring watching at times, but he's still fast on the track. You cannot deny that about Dungey. He will still smoke 99.99% of those dudes out there. I mean, somebody has to be really clicking. I mean, clicking like to the top of their level to really beat Dungey, especially in a championship type scenario. You know, it has to be like a Tomac or a Roxon that can actually run a whole season, or Villapoto, one of those top dudes to beat Dungey in a championship situation. And those kind of dudes don't come around very often. So, you know, that makes it pretty incredible what Dungey has actually been able to do here. But I don't get donations very often, so it's pretty special when I do. But I got to shout this homie out, Lennert Nuyttens. I don't know how to say your last name, but thank you for the $5.30. I appreciate it, dude. There is a link in the description to donate to me if you want to support me, and if you can't or you just don't want to, I totally understand. That's why it's completely optional, but I will be listing my top 10 donators at the end of every single future video, and I will shout out every new donator at the end of a video, even if they're not top 10. So I want to let you guys know that I have all of my different playlists on my front page, whether it be game-specific playlist or series-specific playlist. So if you're looking for any particular game or particular series that you want to watch, I have it all laid out there in a pretty organized manner on my front page. And my email address is spencerturley@live.com, no space, no capital. And I do accept sponsorship offers. And you guys should also follow me on Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, PlayStation Network, Xbox Live, Steam, all that different stuff at Spencer Turley, no space, no capital. So anyways, I appreciate you guys watching the videos. Later, dudes.